I know we had you on. How long ago was that? It was last year, right?
I think it was for 2 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Man,
I think I'm on a 2-year contract. I think I'm on a 2-year contract with you guys.
Yes,
right.
Like
Every other year.
there's some things we need to go over real quick. You know, the playing in college. Why'd you go to the CFL instead of the Miami Dolphins? Wow.
I missed 3 Super Bowls with Miami. All 3 years I was in Toronto. Actually, I tried to negotiate my own contract, and I thought I could do it. Wound up agreeing to a deal with Mr. Robbie because Joe Thomas, their GM, was in the hospital having surgery. So I sat with Mr. Robbie. He made it's, and you'll love these numbers: $35, $45, and $55,000. Of which, I said that's what I wanted, and he said, "Well, we reserved that for second-round picks, not fourth-round picks." But I think Don Shula would have loved to have coached Notre Dame. I think that was one of the things that he really would have loved. So I wound up saying I'd go there, but then the contract went back and forth. I split the bonus up into years. They wanted me to pay back if I didn't show up. If you remember, 1971 was sort of the end of the Vietnam War, so I didn't know what was going to happen. I was already in the lottery system. And then I made a trip to Canada. They said, this is the number, 50-50-50-50, but you can't leave the country. You have to sign. Fly back to South Bend. Ara Parsigian was my coach, also my consultant, whom I never consulted. And he was there. I just never talked to him. Yeah, and then he calls me at 6 a.m. in the morning. He says, "What in heaven's name have you done?" I said, I signed with the Toronto Argonauts. He says, "I know. Shula's on a plane right now flying up to South Bend." Don came up, read me the riot act. Wow. You have a moral obligation to be a Miami Dolphin. I said, "Well, you guys screwed with my contract." They ultimately gave me what I wanted, but I did learn a great lesson that you can't let emotions get involved in negotiations. You just, that's why agents are important. Everybody says, "Well, I don't want to pay an agent." Let me tell you something. Unless you're a quarterback in this league today, and you basically are, or you're a first or second round, and you're going to be slotted into a number that isn't going to change much, right? Then having an agent is an asset.
Hey, Matt, if you notice behind him, he's got a Wheaties box. I think
you got one too?
I have a Wheaties box, yes. Yeah. But I'll tell you what I don't have, Matt.
What's that?
One of these.
Hold it up a little closer to the camera, there, big guy.
I'm trying.
That was shot last week.
Wait,
yeah, we were at the beach. We were down the beach, and they just wanted to shoot a picture and say, "Hey, look, we've got these extra pants laying around. Why don't you try it on?" So I thought I'd.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's a really good looking.
Physique. It's called a physique.
No. He was so strucken with your look there. He just didn't know what to say.
Find the words.
He couldn't find it. He was speechless. I mean,
swim trunks. I was saying, wow, that's
they're custom made swim trunks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He just got done diving. That's what he was doing.
Oh,
go ahead.
I mean, I got to tell you though,
this is too much fun, and it's been too long. I got to be honest.
It's hard to stay straight. But you follow the draft, I guess, to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, I do. I follow the pro game. I follow the draft. Yeah.
Well,
this was an interesting draft.
Yeah, give us just about the quarterbacks. Give us your thoughts on Fernando Mendoza.
I think it's again, if you're the number one pick, you're probably going to a team that really needs a lot more than just you, which the Raiders do. They need more than just a quarterback there. The signing of, interestingly enough, we can talk about Fernando Mendoza and his athletic skills and his ability, and I think he's going to do a terrific job, but he's going to have to learn. The big signing by the Raiders was Kirk Cousins. That is a big difference. Clinton has coached Kirk before. He's familiar with the offense, and we all know time is a problem when it comes to NFL preparation. Coaches can't spend as much time with players as they would like to be able to install the things they have to install, to be able to go over film, to be able to make corrections. It all takes time. Now with Kirk Cousins there, Fernando's growth is going to be exponential. He's going to grow faster because after the meetings are over, he can sit down with Kirk for a couple of hours. And Kirk's this kind of guy. He's done this before with number ones. This is like the third number one he's had to deal with.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, here it is, no coaches around, but I can talk the game with Kirk Cousins, who understands the game, and he understands this offense and what we're trying to do. And I think his growth is going to be very, very quick, and really quicker than most guys ever get an opportunity to do. But I think he's, foundationally, he looks like he's ready. The question is, and I've always felt this way, this, the quarterback position is the single most dependent position on a field.
Oh, absolutely.
What's the offensive line look like? What's the receiving core? Can you stop people on defense? Can you make kicks to win championships? I mean, those are all the elements that go into the quarterback position, even though we sort of get the moniker, it's our Super Bowl. I won Super Bowl 17. Phil, you won a Super Bowl. It's like, well, we didn't, but the team did. But thank you very much for the acknowledgement.
And there's another signing, too, that they did this offseason, right? Tyler Linderbaum, right? The longtime center, Pro Bowl caliber center, going out there. And a veteran, been in the league a long time, right? Has developed a great relationship with just his teams and his leadership. Is that something that you feel like is an important piece to go along with Kirk Cousins? Because I hear Big Phil, he talks about Bart Oates all the time, right? So what does that mean, that relationship, that quarterback center relationship to you, Joe?
I think it's really important from a communication standpoint with the offensive line. The one position that doesn't get enough credit as far as the offensive line is the center. The center is sort of the general. He directs traffic. He's communicating with the guards. We always talk about the tackle, and really it used to be the left tackle position, but now with so many open formations, it's both tackles that get put on islands.
Yeah.
And the center has to be the one that creates the slide of the line and identifies, and he'll help identify things for Fernando in the beginning. When you see everybody pointing 55, 55, that's just an alert to let everybody know that somebody's there, whatever it is. The center does that as well. So I think that signing and Kirk, to me, were critical in the development of Fernando, and also critical in the Raiders going forward to building a competitive football team.
Yeah, I think, man, I don't know I'll make it quick, but I think the Raiders are going to be just more organized and look better as a football team this year than we surely did last year. That was a train wreck almost from the start to the finish, but that won't happen this time. The quarterback, he's very mature. I did one game of his, watched him, talk to him, and man, I just he's
impressive, isn't he?
Like a 10-year vet, the way he talks, and he's not, what's the word for it? He's got a little edge to him too. That was the one thing we got done interviewing. He walked out the room. I go, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Just the way he talks about everything and how much he knows. And of course,
he has confidence, not cockiness, right?
Yes, no doubt about it. Yes. And look, I think, Matt, you watched him probably more than I did. The fact that he just has more talent than everybody is saying.
Yeah.
He's mobile. No, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he's going to get out of trouble a lot by running. And his arm, man, he can unleash it more.
And he's accurate.
That's right.
Oh, he's dead ass accurate. He just
to me, that's really
dead ass.
If I look that up, dead ass is very, very accurate. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're still
I think, when you look at quarterbacks, basically the way I look at it is what's their completion percentage? What's their touchdown interception ratio? Those are the things that I look at. And what's the offense they're playing in? Because so much more now we see the offenses coming into the NFL from college.
Yeah.
Coaches are trying to accommodate the growth process of the quarterbacks by bringing in some of the stuff that they've run and the familiarity with it. And both games are wide open now,
right,
to be honest with you.
Well, I'll say this real quick. Matt, you tell me what you think. But, man, I watch a lot of college football, and I did all offseason this. And, man, whatever they're getting from the college teams, man, I don't know. I just see a lot of bad coaching and bad football when I watch some of these players and some of these teams.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Phil, I think you and I have had this conversation before when I was working in broadcasting and you were actually still playing, is Bill Parcells in one of our production meetings sat down and said, the National Football League is going to run out of quarterbacks soon. And if that wasn't an absolute truth, when the Indianapolis Colts had to sign Phillip Rivers at the age of 45 after 5 years being out of the game to come and play football, they had nowhere else to go to feel like they had a quality individual to be able to step in and play. And I think that's one of the things that we look at. We see some young guys coming in, which I know we're going to get to, but I think there still needs to be more development. And that's why the UFL, I think if the NFL embraced it, it would be a great farm system for the NFL going forward. You're going to get guys that are coached by professional coaches. They understand the learning process of how to prepare, how to get ready for a game, how to perform in a game. Whether you got 5,000 people or 500,000 in the stands, it's insignificant. The important thing is you're getting playing time, because that's really where you learn.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. I don't understand why teams don't keep 4 quarterbacks, 2 on the roster, 2 on a practice squad, and see what you get.
The league rosters if you're going to 18 games, you can't dress 49. It's ridiculous. You're paying 53 or whatever the number is now. Dress them all. Offensive linemen, corners. These seem to be the areas where people are getting hit and nicked.
That's right.
And the quarterback position, was it 2 years ago, 61 different quarterbacks started in the NFL?
Yep.
This last year, I guess it was like 57.
Right.
I mean, it's a position that's going to, very vulnerable. There's going to be injury there. And just look at the Indianapolis Colts were on their way to a run at the title. And all of a sudden, Daniel's gone. So it's tough. And then you have to look at Ryan and you say, well, he's a rookie. I'm not sure he'd get it done. So you go get Phillip. And like I said, man, when you have to go bring somebody off the street after 5 years, you've got to reevaluate the process as far as having people available to play.
Well, here's another team, though, that I want to get your thoughts on. Of course, just a big splash in this year's draft, because we started our conversation with Fernando Mendoza. Now let's discuss Ty Simpson, right? And the Rams selecting him. This is a team that has Super Bowl qualities to it, right? They're in that window, as everybody says, the Super Bowl window. It's now. But they go and they get essentially one of the most important insurance policies, I think, in the game, and Ty Simpson out of Alabama. Your thoughts on just the Rams choosing to go quarterback there early in the first round, knowing that they have all the pieces to make a Super Bowl run right now?
I think it was very important with the pick that they had to make that pick this year. We know Matthew's the quarterback. What a great opportunity for Ty to be able to learn from Sean and Matthew. It's the same situation we talked about with the Raiders, Kirk and Fernando. And so now, yes, but let's say the Rams have aspirations of getting into that pick where they're going to wind up picking maybe 32nd or 30th or 31st, somewhere in the late 20s, all right? Mm-hmm. The quarterbacks aren't going to be there next year. So why not make the pick now? Why not lay the foundation now, bring in a young guy that you think can fit into the system that Sean runs based upon what you saw in college, and then all of a sudden develop him, give him a chance to learn to be a pro, learn to understand the terminology, learn to be able to read defenses, learn to be able to read defensive lines. I think it was a very, very smart move by Sean doing it this year as opposed to waiting until there's supposedly a bigger crop of quarterbacks for 2027. Nobody ever knows. But I think if you have a chance to be able to add somebody like that now with a football team that really doesn't need that person to play, it's an asset.
Hey, I think he fits the Los Angeles Rams offense like a glove.
I agree.
This is the quarterback who he is. He doesn't have Matt Stafford's arm, but it isn't far off. I mean, Ty Simpson can let it go, and he can move around. And yes, now if Matt Stafford gets beat up, and if you have him trained Ty Simpson enough, during the training camp, preseason games, all that, maybe you could play him for a game or two. I think you could, that way.
Yeah.
So
Matt,
you talk about him more than I do. Ty Simpson, we liked him a lot. And if they didn't take him there were teams behind them that were definitely going to take him, and they knew that. That's why they took him at 13.
Now, how often do you I find this so fascinating. Now, I had a lot of questions about quarterbacks, but now I'm more interested about your restaurant. All right. So what's like the go-to story, right? When you're working the tables there, saying what's up, shaking the hands, showing people, the rings and all that kind of stuff. What's the go-to story for you?
First of all, people will say, how's your leg? That's obviously one thing, which is close to Phil and I understand that very, very well. How's the leg? And, that's one thing. And then people just say, well, what are our Commanders going to do this year? Which is a
Right.
subject we almost started on before.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about this offense. I'm excited about Jaden coming back in his third year. Hopefully stays healthy through the year. I think we've added some good pieces. They've signed some people on the defensive line. And, the choice of Styles, I think, was an excellent choice. I thought Adam Peters did a terrific job identifying those areas on the football team where they wanted to add people. So that's part of the conversation that we have. And then my favorite meal there is Spirelli chicken. It's Spirelli pasta with sun-dried tomatoes and chicken chunks that are about almost 3/4 of an inch to an inch around and cooked perfectly.
All right.
Very specific. Thank you, Joe. And I like you did the
50
whole
years in the business.
50 years.
50th year since I've been in the restaurant business.
Oh yeah, you had when I was at ESPN back in you were talking about you had 2 restaurants at the time, right?
I wound up with 6 at one time, and now we have just the one in Alexandria. Yeah, but it's been a fun ride. It's a great education. You deal with people all the time, and obviously there's the business side of it. But I love walking around, talking to people, meeting them, and it's fun. It's just a lot of fun for me.
And where did the passion come from to be a restaurateur, right? And to start this and get into this world? Actually,
it started in '75. There were some guys putting a restaurant together. They were looking for a name. And I met with one of the guys who was my partner for a long, long time, worked at Coca-Cola for a while, handled all their Major League Baseball, the retired players stuff. And so John, said, I was the 3rd string quarterback in Washington.
Wow.
So I sat down with John and he said, Joe, you're the 3rd string quarterback in Washington, D.C. Why should we put your name on a restaurant? I said, because I don't intend on staying 3rd string.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, fine. And so in 1975, we opened the first restaurant. And it's been, like I say, it's been 50 years. And my partner, Vernon, and I were the major partners for a while. There were like 22 people involved in the beginning. Ultimately, I just bought everybody out and owned the restaurant with Vernon for a while. And now it's basically has my name on it. I still have say in it, but it's run by a great management group.
Hey,
Awesome.
Matt,
Yeah.
he was the 3rd quarterback, of course, behind Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer. If you're a young quarterback and you're behind those 2, I will say this, and I mean it maybe as a compliment, that might be the worst spot you could ever be in your life. Okay? Because Billy Kilmer was just, he was just tough as hell. His great thing was he was tough because throwing the ball, man, come on. It wasn't a thing of beauty. And Sonny Jurgensen, I can't imagine what he's like. He's a great guy when I meet him down in Washington. But Joe,
Sonny, we just lost Sonny. And the thing is there were 2 entirely, when it came to throwing a football, you had both ends of the spectrum. Billy's ball would wobble a little bit. Charlie Taylor once told me, he says, Billy's ball is easier to catch because you could catch either end. And we as quarterbacks can relate to that. Trust me.
Yeah.
And then Sonny was just majestic. When Sonny threw the ball, I'm telling you something, it was poetry.
It was.
He'd step to the left, that belly of his would come out, and it was so accurate. He would throw, when we warmed up, he would throw the ball behind his back. He would throw takeoffs behind his back. It was unbelievable. I learned a lot from him. In hindsight, when you're in competition, you're not really there to learn, you're there to compete. You're there to learn what you need to learn. But what I learned toughness from Billy. Boy, he could get the guys play for him like crazy. I mean, they really, really supported him. They rallied around him. They supported him. And there wasn't anybody tougher in the game.
No.
Sonny, on the other hand, it was like, let's put it in Sonny's hands and let him just go win the football game. 2 very different people. The one thing that I really, really benefited from playing behind both of them was I came out of an offense at Notre Dame and also in the Canadian League where I moved around a lot. When I came to the NFL in '74, I had to play behind 2 guys who were stationary. They worked out of the pocket. I learned how to play football from the pocket in Billy and Sonny's offense under Teddy Marchibroda. Yeah. And so that sort of completed the weaponry that I was able to bring to the game, to be able to throw from the pocket, to be able to throw on the run, to be able to have mobility. Now today, people want to stress mobility over working out of a pocket. And, to segue on into where we are today, a player like Kyler Murray. It's tough when you're that size to work out of a pocket when everybody's 6'5" in front of you.
Right.
I mean, I think one of the greatest challenges that we're going to see in the NFL, how do you like this segue? One of the greatest challenges we're going to see in the NFL will be what's Kevin going to do up in Minnesota with Kyler Murray?
Right.
What kind of offense is going to be created to accommodate the things that he does well, which is move around a lot, a little bit different than he did when he had Sam Darnold there or even JJ?
I think it will be very successful. He needed this. Has a different way, different thoughts, do this. And you got a quarterback that's got to be just fired up and ready to go to show everybody one more chance I can be the guy for the team.
Yeah.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think really, Joe, I find it fascinating just the things that you were taking from each quarterback within that QB room. And as great of a player as you are and were right at the time, you're taking different aspects as far as leadership and that goes. But, everyone discusses on TV now, right, about, oh, well, he's going to help him out. That's what he's going to, he's going to hold his hand. They're going to sit. What was it like for you and those quarterback meeting rooms, right? For the Redskins
it was a
at
joy.
that time. Yeah.
It was just a joy, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get there to get beat up. I mean, really, it was like, okay. It was tough. They did well, I got Phil knows me so well. I got stories going forever.
Yeah.
So I joined the Redskins in 1974. George Allen trades a number 1 pick to the Miami Dolphins for me to join the Redskins. I actually became a number 1 pick.
Right.
Sort of a roundabout way.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I came to town. I did one of these TV interviews, and me and my big mouth, I said, I didn't come here to sit. I came here to play. Well, that pissed off Billy and Sonny.
No kidding.
They had a relationship. See, George favored Billy because George's perfect game would be a 2-0 win.
Right.
The defense won. The offense didn't screw up because George was all about defense. About defense.
Oh.
And so now all of a sudden, Billy and Sonny decide at a little bar downtown that it didn't matter which one of them played now, as long as he didn't. Me being the he.
They did this over cocktails, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe 1 or 2. But they sort of said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and I just sort of tried to learn. I spent my first 2 years as a punt returner.
Yes.
I returned punts my first 2 years in the league. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. And then all of a sudden, I had a chance to play a little bit in 76 and then became the starter in 78. And then Joe took over in 81. We were 0-5. I almost, he was going to get rid of me. He was going to bench me or trade me. And as it turned out, I went to his house because if you want something bad enough, you got to make sure you go get it. Sat with Coach Gibbs and said, hey, look, I want to be your quarterback. He says, Joe, you got TV shows, radio shows, you got all this other stuff going on. I want somebody who's totally committed to being the quarterback. I said, I'll get rid of everything, but give me a chance first. And from the 6th game of 1981, we went 8-3, 12-1, 16-3, 11-5. And Joe created an offense that was revolutionary at its time with the 2 tight end offense that we had.
Yep.
And the man, I don't throw the term around genius, but there are people that have affected our game in such an incredible way. He was one of those geniuses, like a Bill Walsh with the
Bill
West.
Buddy Ryan. There's tons of geniuses on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah, defensive. The 46 defense in Chicago. I mean, these are all innovations that came into the game of football that allowed people to win championships. They really provided the foundation that nobody had ever seen before. And in this league, when you present something that no one has seen, they can't figure out how to deal with it for at least a year. Take evidence to the fact that the tush push in Philadelphia. Not as much success now as they had when they first introduced it.
Right. And that's where I'm excited, too, for Kyler Murray and what you just mentioned earlier, because I do think there's a possibility that Kevin O'Connell with Kyler Murray reinvents the wheel, so to speak, to some degree, right, of an offense. And the reason why I think about that is just hearing Sean McVay and Mike McDaniel not too long ago discussing what the impact of RG3 was like when they drafted him and creating an offense to fit that. So is that something that you could see potentially the Minnesota Vikings doing, is kind of really just restarting this whole thing, and it's going to be a new look offense compared to what we've seen in the past?
I think they have to. I agree with you. They really do. I think you have to. It can't be status quo.
Right.
Kyler brings a lot of experience. He was a rookie of the year, a lot of experience, very mobile, very athletic. I'm not as curious about Kyler's play as I am the concepts that Kevin wants to use to be able to take advantage of his skill set. That's what I'm very curious about, sort of more inside the game as opposed to just the player playing.
I would think that's exciting to Kevin O'Connell. I got to do something different, make something out there make this offense fit around the quarterback. I mean, I just can't imagine. Otherwise, why would they got him, and the talk must have been, we can do this. I know what I'm going to do with him if we sign him and all that. I just think Kevin O'Connell.
Well, what's interesting, though, too, and Joe mentioned this earlier, and this is something that has circled, just Kyler Murray and his camp kind of throughout his career, is just maybe the commitment and all that, and Joe just said it. If you want something bad enough, you got to go and get it. This is an opportunity, I think, for Kyler, right, where they're taking that chance on him, right, to be that guy. And
by the way, blowing that kiss was not for you, Phil. My wife was just leaving, so I just didn't want you to misinterpret what I might say.
Oh,
it's been done
that's
before.
Right.
I've got to be careful. It's been done before.
Hey, Matt, when we were at ESPN together, a year or whatever, and we would go to the gym sometimes, and I would be in there lifting, and Joe goes, "Why are you doing that? You only do that because you're playing. Because I only do things to make me look better." He goes over there doing curls, bench, do some arms, and
I did a show called Bodies in Motion with Gilad Jankowicz many years ago. We filmed in Hawaii.
Yeah,
and it was 30 minutes. It was cardio, but he worked on his calves because that's what you could see. He worked on his abs and he worked on his biceps.
Right.
That became my mantra for so many years. If you're gonna, you can look at that picture, Phil.
That's right. I was going to say your beach photo.
Matt, he's got it right
last
there
week
for you to look at. It's like, there it is right there. Evidence.
Go ahead.
Those areas need to be focused on and concentrated on.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as we get done with this, it's going in the garbage, so don't worry.
I thought it was there already.
Hey.
That is awesome.
Oh, man. Yeah, that Hawaii show, I mean, that was not easy, right?
Oh, God, no.
Up and down.
What the other thing was, too, is so we trained for like a week. We just going through it because we had to film it, all the steps that had to go. Finally, on the last day, and Gilad, he was ripped. I mean, he was just ripped.
Yeah.
His abs were unbelievable. So finally I said to him, and I'm doing all these crunches and all this kind of stuff. So I said to him, how can I get these? He says, I was born with them. I said, oh, man, you mean I've been working my rear end off all week trying to get some kind of a look like that, and you're telling me you're born with them? I come to find out that the thin layer between the skin and the muscle is fat. The less fat you have, the more pronounced the muscle is. Well, obviously, I have a little more fat between the skin and the muscle than I did.
My God.
Like I said, last week, you could see the evidence of all the hard work paid off.
And Lindsay reminded us, too, that the last time that we had you on was right before the national championship game, right, for Notre Dame being in the game. So we were getting your 2 cents on that. Unfortunately for your boys, it didn't work out that day. But just, hey, let's talk about that really quickly. Just the state of Notre Dame football, where that's at right now, Marcus Freeman. And also I'm curious, just like your thoughts on just Notre Dame going forward now in this modern NIL world and how they navigate that.
I think all you need to do is read Jeremiah Love's comments, basically, number 1 pick of the Arizona Cardinals. And he basically said, look, the NIL has been really good to me. I'm not taking any of the money. $53 million guaranteed is his contract. He said, I'm not touching any of that money. I did very well in the NIL. So that speaks to what Notre Dame has been able to do in the NIL market. Yeah. I think we got really screwed last year badly. Especially, the fact that Notre Dame didn't get into the playoffs was one thing, but the way it was done was so underhanded. You wait until like the 11th hour where Notre Dame was ranked above Miami, and then all of a sudden Miami gets in. Okay, all right. But what the heck is Alabama doing there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 3-loss team. It was the 5 members of that committee, of the 12-person committee, were 5 people in the SEC that went in. It was like you can't have that kind of loaded decision making anymore. And I think what happened to Notre Dame last year basically will and has changed the way they will look at college football playoff selections. So if there's anything good that came out of it, was that. And I tell you, they're loaded again. I think CJ Carr is going to have a heck of a year, probably going to be one of those guys we're talking about, along with Arch Manning, as far as the possible Heisman Trophy candidates for this year. But I can tell you, Marcus is bound and determined to right the wrongs from last year with that football team. And what a tremendous coach he is. What a tremendous environment he's created. I think it's an exciting time at the University of Notre Dame to be a part of the football program.
Yeah, you talk about that, Matt. We talked about this, I think, the fact that, we got Notre Dame, Alabama. Okay, Notre Dame's ranked higher. And, I don't know that I always think you got to think about TV and the fans and who's going to watch. Well, I would think people are going to tune in Notre Dame definitely as much as they would tune in for Alabama. And I think that was one thing that, like I said, I thought we talked about that, and I just took for granted that Alabama was not going to make it. And then I see it when it comes out. I went, wow.
Well, it's a 3-loss team.
Yeah,
that would really.
It's a 3-loss team, and so everybody tries to rationalize. Well, Notre Dame lost to Miami, and Notre Dame lost to this game to Northern Illinois, I believe it was, and it's like, yeah, but Alabama got beat up, and then all of a sudden gets destroyed in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, I rest my case.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately we know that the system was flawed too, because when you're pinning up the resume of Alabama, Notre Dame in that circumstance, even Oklahoma at that point, who wasn't playing great football overall as a team,
right.
It just goes back to that group of 5 conversation, right? And the fact that they either expand it or they need to clean up how that goes, because you're right, Joe. Notre Dame was definitely one of the teams deserving and earned the right to play in the college football playoff.
Matt, what does expanding it do? Now you're starting to run out the college season. You're already looking at, I think, 15 games right now.
Right.
Is what the college football season is. Do you want to get it like the NFL season or go past the NFL season?
Yeah.
If you add more teams, you have to add more games.
No, and I get that. And listen, I'm actually not opposed to it, because last year during the college football playoff is probably the most fun that I've had during bowl season in a long time.
Yeah.
Especially once we got through that first round, I thought, man, this is pretty entertaining. I also love just like the home games for it. But it really does come to I think the laws that speak to the inclusion of the group of 5 schools and why the expansion is a possible outlet moving forward, right? So they can keep those schools involved, right, with the brackets, and then potentially set up maybe buys for some of the higher ranked teams there. But, there's no perfect recipe, right, to please everyone as far as this goes moving forward.
We already have a problem with the NIL.
Yes.
The schools with the money are going to get the players because they're just going to jump. What we're doing is we've destroyed any programs to be able to develop young people, specifically in college.
Yeah.
There's no development now. It's like, I think I'm pretty darn good. Coaches won't even put out depth charts for spring games.
That's right.
Because they're afraid that the kid that's listed 2 or 3 is going to go, hey, you've basically torn competition out of the heart of college football.
That's right.
Nobody wants to compete anymore. They just think mommy and daddy think I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty good. So I'm just going to go someplace else, and coach is going to pay me a lot of money to come there. And, I hope these young men that are getting the money, and the young women that are involved in NILs as well, I hope they're protecting their investment, because life is not like that. Interesting in life, even in the world of professional sports, you have to compete for a job.
That's right.
And you're learning nothing about competition at the college level. 0.
Hey, here's what I think. You're a really good player in high school. Go to a school where you're going to start right away. Okay, why do you do that? Because that's who they come and cherry pick.
Right.
They're going to come down maybe a level, half a level to a team or whatever, and you dominate the play no matter what you are, a lineman, quarterback, tight end, and then you're going to get the big NIL deal.
Yeah. Here's the problem also is NIL has seeped down into high schools.
That's right.
We have to now.
It's destroyed everything. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that sit here and says it ought to be like it used to be.
Right.
I understand the economics of it. I understand that it's progressing in that regard. But right now, it's the wild, wild west. there's no guardrails on what's happening out there, especially with coaches. Any president of a university that signs a coach to a 10-year contract ought to be fired.
Well, I think
Give him a 5-year contract with a 5-year option. If you can't get it done in 5 years, 10 isn't going to necessarily make a difference.
That's right.
The longer you're there, it's not going to matter. But go 5-5. And there's a lot of great coaches out there that you don't have to pay that much money to.
Yeah.
I look at these $95 million contracts, $100 million contracts. It's like, at least give the coaches a chance to earn some money instead of just giving it away.
Right.
Based on previous reputations.
Well, why don't we do this, Matt? Just let's talk about some of we don't want to keep it for 3 hours, which we could. But talk about.
I love being with you guys. I got nothing better to do.
It's not a bad idea.
My tea time isn't for another couple hours yet. I'm good.
Of course you are. We'll go out there and shoot another 95. You might as well
You've been watching my game, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.